Good morning, everyone, and thank you for making the time today. In construction, every day of delay costs money, and projects run tight on margins and tight timelines and the trust between owners, GCs, subs, and suppliers. And you can't afford disruption, and yet technology threats are facing construction companies today are creating exactly that. So that's why I wanted to take a little bit of your time this morning. This is not an IT presentation, and it's not a fear-based cybersecurity talk. Today, we're going to have a leadership conversation about protecting the profitability and enterprise value of your construction operation. Because today, AI and cybersecurity sit directly in the lane of project execution, subcontractor relationships, bonding capacity, and the long term value of the company that you've built. So if you own, lead, or manage a construction company, this affects you, not theoretically, but on the job site and in the back office right now. So here's what we're going to walk through today. What's actually happening with AI in the construction industry right now, what this quietly costs your company in project margin, reputation, and bonding capacity, and where the biggest missed opportunity is hiding inside your organization. We're going to talk about what you can actually control as a construction leader and how to turn this risk conversation into a growth conversation. Now, at the executive level, this matters for one reason. Technology risk is now enterprise risk. It affects your bonding limits, it affects your surety relationships, and it affects your ability to bid on public and private projects. And it affects the valuation of your company when the time comes for a sale, a transition, or ownership succession. So, AI is the most disruptive force in the construction industry, and it's one that hasn't been seen since project management software changed how jobs were run. But not because it's flashy, but because it accelerates everything. It accelerates estimating, it accelerates scheduling, it accelerates document management and submittals. It accelerates safety reporting and compliance documentation. And unfortunately, it also accelerates the cyber attacks that are now increasingly targeting construction companies. The why here is very important. Construction companies operate at the intersection of large financial transactions and complex multi party coordination. You manage contract values that can run into the tens of millions. You process payroll for large field crews. You wire funds to subcontractors and suppliers on tight draw schedules. And when AI increases the speed of operations in a system built around those financial flows, both efficiency and vulnerability increase simultaneously. If leadership doesn't intentionally govern the speed, then the company absorbs the risk by default. Now, cyber attacks targeting construction companies are rising, and the methods are getting more and more sophisticated. We've seen business email compromise attacks impersonating project owners and GCs to redirect subcontractor payment wires. We've seen ransomwares lock estimating software and project management platforms in the middle of active bids. And we've seen credential theft expose bonding applications and financial statements to competitors and bad actors. Construction is now one of the top targeted industries for wire fraud, specifically because of the large transaction volumes, the number of parties involved, and the urgency of payment cycles. Now, why does this matter? Well, specifically to your company, it matters because construction operations are predictable. Draw schedules are predictable, payroll cycles are predictable, and closeout timelines are predictable. Bid deadlines, another predictability. And criminals prefer environments where the timing and size of transactions are easy to anticipate. Now, this isn't about fear, it's about understanding incentives and aligning your protection accordingly. So, the leadership question becomes, are you ready? Not tool ready, not are you strategy ready? If your project management system went down in the middle of a critical submittal deadline, do you have a documented continuity plan? If your accounting manager receives an email that appears to come from a subcontractor requesting a change to their payment wire account, is there a verification step that would catch it? If a former project manager still accesses your estimating software or cloud storage, do you know it? And if a supplier or subcontractor system gets breached and they had access to your project portal, who leads the response from your side? Again, construction runs on relationships and margin. And when a cyber incident hits, it doesn't just cost money, it delays projects, damages subcontractor trust, and triggers scrutiny from owners and bonding companies. Executive clarity shortens chaos. Lack of clarity extends it. So if you run payroll, wire payments to subcontractors, or store project financial data electronically, you, my friend, are on the radar. And construction companies do all of those on every active project. You integrate with project management platforms, estimating software, accounting systems, document storage, supplier portals, and owner provided collaboration tools. And here is where most construction companies are genuinely exposed. Most modern breaches originate through third party access, not your internal staff. And you may have good internal habits, but if a subcontractor or supplier or even a project owner's platform has weak security controls and they have access to your systems, you inherit that vulnerability. And here's what's changing right now. Security companies and bonding underwriters are beginning to ask about cybersecurity posture as part of bond capacity reviews. A breach that delays a project or triggers a payment dispute can affect your bonding relationship. Now, at the executive level, vendor access and third party risk are no longer IT concerns. They are financial and operational governance functions, and very important. Now, at the same time, if you're not thinking about how to use AI to improve construction operations, your competitors already are. And AI is being used today inside construction companies to accelerate bid preparation, analyzing historical project data to produce more accurate estimates faster, and it's being used to optimize scheduling across subcontractor trades. This reduces idle time and schedule overruns, and it's being used to flag safety hazards in site photos before incidents even occur. Now, owners notice execution quality, and GCs notice schedule reliability, and buyers notice profit margin per project. So the construction companies that are positioning for growth, acquisition, or ownership transition over the next 3 to 5 years are the ones building operational maturity now. A well run, technology enabled operation commands a stronger multiple and a better bonding relationship. So doing nothing costs you, not just in breach scenarios, but in daily margin erosion. Revenue leaks through estimating errors, change order disputes, and billing delays that could be reduced with better systems. Reputation damage happens fast when a wire fraud incident delays subcontractor payments or triggers a bond claim. In a relationship driven industry, that damage can linger. Regulatory exposure. Construction companies working on public projects face increasing cybersecurity requirements in contracts. And many operators aren't even aware of what they've contractually committed to. It costs you in talent loss. Top project managers and estimators evaluate the quality of the tools they work with. And companies running outdated, disconnected systems struggle to attract the next generation of construction professionals. And let's talk about project loss. When owners run technology due diligence on GC candidates, your operational maturity is increasingly part of that evaluation. Now, in construction, thin margins can't really absorb affordable losses. So every percentage point matters. Leaders protect margin by reducing friction and preventing disruption. But let's talk about what you actually have control over. And let me separate what is out of your hands from what is completely within your authority. You do not have control over whether cyber criminals target construction companies this quarter. You do not control how convincing AI generated impersonating attacks have become. And let me tell you what, they have become very, very good. You do not control what vulnerabilities exist in your subcontractors or supplier systems. And you do not control when a major platform you depend on, a project management tool, a payroll provider, or an owner portal, experiences a breach. And those are real things. And they're coming, they've happened, and they will continue. But what you do control is your strategy. You control whether your company has a documented policy for how AI tools are used in estimating, project management, and back office workflows. You control whether access to your financial systems, project platforms, and cloud storage is audited, especially for former employees, subcontractors, and vendor partners. And you control whether transfers and payment account changes require a secondary verification call before funds move. You control whether subcontractor agreements include basic cybersecurity requirements for shared project platforms. Again, this is about accountability. Owners, bonding companies, and surety underwriters all evaluate whether your leadership team exercises reasonable operational discipline. Discipline is bankable, neglect is not. You also control how proactive your company is and who you trust as your technology strategy partner. Now, proactive construction companies reduce dwell time, and that's the gap between when an attacker gains access and when you detect it. In construction environments, that window can stretch for weeks, quietly exposing bid data, financial records, and project schedules to competitors or criminals. The speed at which you respond when something goes wrong determines whether a cyber incident becomes a contained operational problem or a project stopping bond threatening event. At the leadership level, proactive posture signals to owners, GCs, and bonding partners that your company is run with discipline. So here's what I want you to take away from this slide today. This is not a technology conversation. It's not. Technology is, yes, the mechanism that we use, but what we're really talking about is project margin, subcontractor trust, bonding capacity, owner confidence, and company valuation. Every one of those things is an ownership level responsibility. And every one of them is affected by how well your technology and cybersecurity strategy is governed. So, this is a business growth conversation. AI can accelerate estimating, which means more bids submitted in less time with better accuracy. AI can optimize scheduling, which means fewer delays, less overtime, and stronger margins per project. AI can improve safety documentation and compliance reporting, which means fewer incidents, lower insurance costs, and cleaner project closeouts. And strong cybersecurity posture is increasingly tied to construction company valuation and project eligibility. Private equity groups and strategic buyers performing due diligence on construction acquisitions are adding technology governance to their checklist. And public project owners are adding cybersecurity requirements to pre qualification all the time. You built the company, and protecting it and growing that value is an ownership level priority. And technology strategy is now part of that equation where it hasn't been before. Leverage AI as your strategic edge. Use it to produce better estimates, faster pulling from historical job cost data, and to sharpen your bids. Use it to improve scheduling accuracy and reduce the change orders that eat your margin. And use it to streamline safety reporting and compliance documentation across your field crews. But pair every AI adoption with governance. Define what tools your estimators, PMs, and field supervisors can use, and define what project and financial data can touch those tools. Define who is accountable for each tool, because speed without control is simply very fast exposure. The construction company that gets this right will be the ones that win better projects, build stronger bonding relationships, and command the highest valuations when it comes times for a transition. So, how do you actually turn all of this into growth? Well, you're going to start with clarity. You can't protect what you can't see. Conduct an external exposure assessment, and this shows exactly what is already visible to attackers, including any company credentials or financial data circulating online, before you have a single internal conversation. Review third-party access. Map who has access to your systems. It would be subcontractors, suppliers, project portals, former employees, and whether that access is tighter than it needs to be. And map operational friction inside your company. Where are your estimators, PMs, and field supervisors working around systems rather than with them? That friction costs you time and margin. And then identify where AI can safely improve efficiency, starting with estimating and scheduling, where the ROI is the most immediate. Growth in construction rarely comes from doing more. It comes from executing better on the right projects. So when you reduce exposure and reduce operational friction at the same time, something important happens. You protect project margin. And we all in construction know about project margin. And when you strengthen subcontractor and owner trust, you improve bonding position and you attract better talent. You also build the kind of documented, audible governance that makes your company attractive to buyers, partners, and secured and surety underwriters. That particular chain reaction, protection leading to performance, leading to growth, is why this conversation today matters at the ownership level. Now, over the next 12 months, expect continued pressure from wire fraud targeting construction payment cycles. Expect AI generated impersonating attacks to become harder to detect without a verification process. And expect technology governance questions to become standard in project pre-qualification and acquisition due diligence. Operational discipline is becoming a competitive advantage, not just a compliance expectation. So let me close out with a direct question to you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for your company this year to reduce cyber exposure and improve operational efficiency and position the business for long-term growth or potential ownership transition? Now, if that number that you just thought of is below a 7, well, then timing may not be right today. And that's okay. Not every company is in the same place. But if it's an 8, 9, or 10, I want to ask you one more question. What is getting in the way of you taking action right now? What is it? Is it budget? Is it not knowing where to start? Is it not having a trusted partner who actually understands how construction companies operate? Because here's what I've found. Most construction leaders already know there's a gap. They're not lacking awareness. They're lacking a clear first step and a partner who won't waste their time with generic IT advice. And that's exactly what the profit and growth strategy session we have is designed to do. In our profit and growth strategy session, we'll run an external exposure scan on your company so you can see what's already visible to attackers before we discuss anything else. We'll review your third-party access and governance posture, and we'll identify the highest impact of AI opportunities in your estimating, scheduling, and field operations. We'll also map a practical path forward, no obligation and no pressure. You leave that meeting with clarity. What's exposed? What's the priority? And what the next step looks like for your specific operation. The only question is whether now is the right time for that conversation. Now, you can schedule your session. absolutely costs nothing, but you can schedule that session at cydian.group/risk. It takes about 90 seconds to book it out, and we'll be more than happy to meet with you and discuss with you how we can help. As always, I appreciate you taking time with me today. Uh, we will see you right back here in uh, maybe a month or so. Uh, but as always, be super kind to each other, and we are always on and always ahead. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.